Hello and welcome to the Knock On KCLR Sports Weekly Rugby podcast, where we deal with Tullow, Carlow and Kilkenny and a few other bits and pieces. Besides, Paddy Browne joins us first on the podcast today. Paddy, how's it going?
Hi Stephen, how are you?
Sure, not too bad, not too bad. Things didn't go to plan for Ireland at the weekend, and for some reason everyone's talking about James Lowe's celebration when he got 50-22 rather than about the performance that Ireland had against the All Blacks, which was not great and cause for concern.
I'm not overly concerned, to be honest with you. First of all, on the James Lowe thing, I think James Lowe's MO is exuberance, and without his exuberance, he wouldn't be the man he is and be the influence he is on those around him and on the supporters. So I think it's a load of crap what people are saying about the celebration. I do kind of get when Shane Horgan says that the English team of recent years have over-celebrated winning a ruck or a turnover, and I get that. But I think what James Lowe, maybe it's in the same category, but I don't. But knowing the personality that he is, I thought some of the criticisms were over the top. I do agree, I suppose, with Shane Horgan in saying that I would hate to see the team in general going that way. But I mean, I even see it at our own matches, the way turnovers are celebrated now. It's really becoming a thing, and turnovers are such an important feature of the game. On the overall performance, the All Blacks are the All Blacks, and they came for with a vengeance to knock over the number one ranked team in the world. They had a bit of extra match practice that we didn't. Some of our mistakes were inexcusable, the drop balls, and Andy Farrell up to now has had a knack of hitting the ground running, even without sort of what you might call match preparation and a lot of and bringing in players who hadn't been playing regularly and they're performing. It didn't happen last Friday night, and the result was plain to be seen. But I mean, the number of turnovers and the number of dropped passes, and in particular the line out. I mean, we could good problem in Tullow with the line out. Ireland having a problem with the line out, and a person of the ability of Paul O'Connell running the line out. I don't know. The line out has been poor for a few matches now, and it really needs to be tightened up.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's Felipe Condapomi's Argentina this weekend, so hopefully. Team has actually been named today. Today is Wednesday when we're recording the podcast. So team has been named at 2:00 today. So we'll find out who will play there. But shouldn't be too many changes, I'd say. But yeah, fingers crossed, Paddy. We can get back on track, so to speak, with Argentina. But we're going to focus our attention on the stuff locally now with the weekend. You had your nearest and dearest rivals, Athy, not too far away as the crow flies. Pay a visit in the Leinster League Division 1A, and all square at the end, Paddy.
Yeah, and the Athy, Tullow, Carlow triangle, they're in the same division, sets up lots of local derbies and local friendly rivalries, and that was definitely the case again last Saturday with Athy. And I suppose Athy were coming on the back of beating the other local rivals, Carlow, the previous Saturday, so their tails were up to a point, and they also had they were ahead of us in the table and had beaten Wicklow as well, who were table toppers at the time. So they probably came expecting a win. We also felt we needed a win after having a couple of good results in the previous few weeks and getting our season back on track after a very poor start. So both teams came with something to prove, and I suppose the fact that we played them in the Cup the last 2 years too added a bit of bite to the fixture. But the Tullow Athy rivalry and friendship is a very long standing, and even us our lads have lots of great friends in Athy from the old days. So it was a good turnout, and it was a very, very good game. I think Carlow or Athy have a fantastic set of backs, and an out half now, young Harris, who plays for Kildare footballers, and he's that good in that position that Craig Miller, who was their match winner many times, has moved into scrum half. And they also had a certain Colin Carberry at full back, a brother of Joey Carberry's. But credit to Athy, these are all players who, and the whole team are players mostly who came up through the very strong underage system in Athy. So Anyway, as you said, James, the game finished 29-all, and as that scoreline would suggest, an exciting game, a high-scoring game, and it certainly was that, and played on the 3G pitch in Tullow. It was a very fast, exciting game. I just name out the Tullow team there, and it's very similar to the previous couple of weeks. The full back was Darrell Cosgrave. In the three quarters was Tyg Walsh, Ryan Jordan, Adam Johnson, Ryan O'Neill. Peter Burgess at out half, and Garrett Fitzgerald scrum half. Front row Scott Callback, Brian Keogh, Tom Cashin. Second row Joe Waters and Martin Cole. And the back row Jack McDonald, Fiach O'Byrne and Stephen Smith. And the subs were Fiach Kavanagh, Daniel Culleton, Mark Ashton, Colin Gorry and Jack Johnson. So Tullow started well, and after about 7 minutes, Adam Johnson made a fantastic break, and in the end offloaded to Tyg Walsh, who touched down, and Adam Johnson added the points to make it 7-0. 3 minutes later, Tyg responded through David Downey, and he got a try which wasn't converted. The next scores went to a tie. They got a couple of penalties to make the score 11-7. Tullow then got another try to make it 12-7. It was I'm trying to remember who scored that. It was Brian Keogh, the hooker, apparently went down when the ball was mauled over the line. With 6 minutes to go then to half-time, a tie edged back with a penalty. They got two penalties, and the half-time score was 17-12 to a tie. And early in the second half, a tie were attacking very, very strongly and almost got a try to make it a two-score game, but they missed that chance. Stephen Smith then went over after some very good build-up play and got that was converted to make the score 17-17. Then Darrell Farrell went over for a tie, and then Garrett Fitzgerald went over for Tullow, a good try, and Johnson added the conversion. The score at this stage was 24-22. A tie then went on and got another try, and the score was standing at 29-26, and Adam Johnson had a chance to draw the game, and he missed two penalties, and it's very untypical of Adam Johnson, who's been kicking brilliantly. In fairness, the two shots he missed were difficult kicks and were quite far out, but he did get one to make the score 29-29, and that's how it finished. And Tullow did finish attacking and had a line out in a very favourable position with a few minutes to go, and they missed the line out, and the line out malfunctioned all match really, and it's something that we need to, no more than the Irish team, it's something that we need to work on. But it was we missed that line out, and Ty cleared the lines, and they were happy to do so, I suppose, to make the match a draw at 29-all. It was, as I say, a very good match, very open match, lots of exciting scores, and while Tullow could easily have nicked it at the end through the two missed penalties and through the line out on the 5-yard line, Ty were probably the better team overall, and I'd say marginally better. They have a fine set of backs. I mentioned three of them there, but they were all the young Harris as well. They were a very fine set of backs. So that was it. We got 4 tries, they got 3, so we got 3 match points, which I suppose is better than no match points, and they got 2. So that keeps them, I think, 3 points ahead of us in the table. We've no league match next weekend. There are no league matches the coming weekend, but we are playing Sea Point in the quarter-final of the All-Ireland Junior Cup. So we're seeing a lot of Sea Point lately. That's up in Sea Point, and we'll be playing them again back home in the new year. And so they were beaten last week in the league by Bective. So Bective are on top of the league now. So when we played Sea Point a few weeks ago, it was a really good game, and we got two bonus points, and it was a 4-point match, a high scoring match as well. So we were missing a few that day. So we'll go up next Saturday, I suppose, with a bit of a spring in our step, given that we have those players back. But And again, as I said the last day, is the Junior Cup a great opportunity, or is it a risk to injuries? And of course, that depends on the injury profile after the match. But it will be, if we do avoid injuries, it'd be great to be able to play that game. And sure, a lot of the guys are saying it'd be nice to get an All-Ireland medal as well as a few Towns Cup medals. But that's counting our chickens before they're hatched. We have a very tough assignment next week away to Sea Point. So the seconds had a great win. They beat a very strong Athy seconds team 36-26, and it was a cracker of a game. Played on the grass pitch, but the grass pitch is in great nick now, and the conditions were good. So as I said, Athy came with a very strong team and with a good position in the league. And we hadn't been going so well. We'd one good win against Carlow, but other than that, we failed to turn out a few times and had a few big beatings. But anyway, Athy had the better of the exchanges in the first half and then at half time in the lead. But Shane Duffy came on at half time, and he's such a prospect. He's a brother of the late Conor Duffy, who we often spoke about on this podcast, who we lost last year and who certainly was the best prospect in the club and a terrible loss. But his younger brother is following in Conor's footsteps. Shane is his name. I think he's only 19 and has to fill out a bit yet, but he's in unbelievable speed. So he came on at half time on the wing, and he ran in 2 tries, both almost the length of the field. And he ran almost the length of the field. After that, didn't score himself, but a try came from it to win the game, really. So it's fair to say that he was the difference. He wasn't there in the first half. He's been playing a lot of Gaelic football with Ballin lately, and he was on the county minors last year. But he really is one to watch. It's speed and sidestep, really. It's a combination of both. And he glides past players, and he's impossible to catch, really. So we'll be interested to watch him. He's probably just not big enough yet or strong enough for the first, but he's heading that way very, very, very soon. And it would be exciting to see him play at the top level. He's that good. With other good players in Jack Fitzgerald, Cathal Bailey, the veteran William O'Brien came on to steady the ship and played well, but apart from getting a yellow card for a little bit of mouthing, as he's prone to do, and I hope he's listening to this, William. But anyway, he won't thank me for that. So that's the first and the seconds, and a very welcome win for our seconds. And as I often say on this podcast, the seconds pushing first for places is really the competition you absolutely need, and it's very hard to keep the first fully motivated without that bit of pressure from the seconds. The ladies had another big defeat, and Railway Union team came down, who were top of the table, and with 4 Leinster players and 2 Irish players. So that's a kind of the standard we were looking at with Railway Union, and they put up a huge score. But the women, to their credit, they battled to the very end. The heads never went down, and we were missing 5 or 6 of our very best players through injury. And they will be back, and they'll make an awful difference. But credit to the girls who showed up last Saturday against. And it would have been so easy for them to drop their heads. The match was played at 5 o'clock under the lights after the Thai matches, and it was great to see a great crowd who stayed on to watch that match after a very long day of rugby. And they certainly have the support of the club, and they are a credit to the club. Even with the finding this top AIL Division 1 heavy going, and so it is. But look, it's the learning curve that they want, and they want to stay there if they can at all, and learn from it and build on it. And there are a lot of young good girls coming on, which I think augurs well for the future. Our seconds women, our J1 women, got a walkover from Balbriggan, and they are now standing second in their league. So that's full credit to them. So I'll move on to the underage situation, Stephen, if that's okay.
Yeah.
We had a fairly full round of matches. Our under 13 boys had a huge win, and they've been having a great run. They were away to Mullingar in the Leinster League, and they won 55-21 in a very high scoring game, and they are really enjoying their rugby. And it's under 13s is a great age group, because it's the first time after minis, the first time they get together in organised 15-a-side rugby, and it's they really are warming to the task. Our under 14 boys also had a big win over a very fancy Dundalk team. Tullow went up to Dundalk, the long journey, and won 26-21. in a cracker, I'm told. Oisin Redmond got 3 tries and Adam Dunhu got 3 conversions and 2 penalties. And so that was a big win. The under-14 girls, the Rhinos, had a huge win over Athy, 45-0. The under-15 boys had their first loss of the year against leaders Portlaoise, 14-22, but it was another cracker of a match, I'm told. The under-16 boys had a very big win over Wicklow, 35-7. The under-16 girls went down to Port Dara, 34-22. And the under-18 boys had a very narrow loss to table toppers Wicklow, losing 13-15. But again, I'm told it was a cracker of a match. On the under-18 boys A, they got a walkover from Midlands Warriors, and the under-18 girls also got a walkover from Naas. But just to reflect on the underage scene in Tullow, they're having a very good start to the season. 6 of our 8 teams are now in either first or second place in the South East League. And while it's still early days in the Leinster League, 6 of our 9 teams are in first or second place in the Leinster League. So, they're really putting in the efforts, and full credit to youth coordinator Eddie Harkin and all the coaches who are doing a fantastic job with all the underage teams. So unfortunately, I don't have the fixtures for next week, but that's the Tullow story for this week, Stephen. And even though we didn't get the win, we really wanted over a tie. It was a cracker of a game. We got 3 points on the table. And overall, we have to be happy with the overall results all our teams achieved over the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely, Paddy. That's it. Athy never an easy team to beat, and like you said, good to get a couple of points out of it anyway. Considering the season so far, trying to get a bit of momentum going as well. But that's great to hear.
You'll be talking to Tom in a while about their big win over Ashbourne, and a bonus point win. The result is that Carlow and Tullow now are next to each other in the table, so that sets the juices flowing for our fixture after Christmas. So it's we should have some exciting times on this podcast over the next couple of months.
Absolutely, especially fighting for position on that table as well. Such a tough division, so it is, but it keeps us on our toes anyway, and keeps you in your toes every week as well. We'll be talking to Tom shortly on the podcast. Paddy, thanks a million for giving us the update from Tullow, and we'll catch you next week.
Thank you, Stephen. See you next week.
Hey, Tom, how's it going? You had a good weekend?
Yep. I am a lot happier than I was last week, or the last 5 weeks, should I say. So I'd say good weekend all around. Very, 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 very happy. Look, we had a poor start to the season, and I kept saying we needed this game more than any other game I think we played in the last couple of years to get us back on track. And I knew the attitude was a bit different at training this week. But as I said in the last week's podcast, I had to thank the players for the buy-in after being beaten the last day, to turn around and to have so many up training, and it proved the point, because both sides won at the weekend, J1s and J2s. So to start off with the J2s first, look, they had absolutely cracking game. The team was Mark Sly, captain John Farrell, Tyrone and Mossy Whitney, Anto Kelly, Reese Edgehill, Danny Carpenter, Paddy Mackey, Josh Cope, Liam Slater, Rory Dunbar, Peter Hennessy, Aaron Gordon, Sasha Ramett, Tommy McDonald, and then the impact subs were Martin Mullins, Dara Brennan, Oisin Hart, Dermot Long, James Brown, Benjamin Deacon, and Brian Broderick. The final score, we won't get into a massive amount of it, because the final score was 38-0. Their defence was absolutely cracking. The hits were massive. Outstanding ball carriers there with Mossy and Anto Kelly. Huge ball in hand, and the backs were outstanding. I have to give compliments to Aaron Gordon there in the centre, played extremely well. Aaron has kind of given himself a little bit more commitment this season and stepped away a tiny bit from the hurling, and you can see the difference in him. He's really coming along. He's a good defender, good ball carrier, and and his hands will come along with it. Peter Hennessy, another player of note for the weekend. Peter has played first, but just a bit of an old head in the back line made all the difference, But it was just great to see so many lads determined to win, to go up and enjoy the rugby. And I'd say the defence was super. Most of the tries, the backs, I think, scored majority of the tries and out wide as well, which is a huge testament to the rugby that they were trying to play. It was the first, it's the first spark we've seen back in the rise, and a testament is we're only 3 points off the top in the seconds league now between results. It's an odd league at the moment. There's no one burning away with it, so they're still in there with a chance. So they were so happy after the game, to get back on track, and they're a good side, and they needed that and they deserve it for the effort. As I said, they come up training week in, week out, and even when the first weren't winning, the lads were still coming up, and everyone could have dropped away when you're on a losing streak, but they didn't. So I just all the seconds deserve their credit, and the lads who didn't get a chance for a game, because I said we have 40 plus training at times, and the J3s are actually playing tomorrow night in kind of a J3 come development side are playing Clondalkin. Clondalkin are giving us the game up in Clondalkin. Tonight. So just to get lads games, which is brilliant. To be able to field 3 teams, and there's not a massive there's very little overlap between the actual of the starting seconds and this team. It's majority of players who haven't been getting game time, and some of the subs maybe on seconds from last weekend, but the majority of them are all it's a completely different team to the J2. So you almost say we have a thirds out. The J1s then started off a bit disastrously because the referee was an hour late. So our preparations were in full swing, and I just went in to get the water bottles and came back out, and the lads were there standing with their hands in their pockets and they didn't know what was going on. But our poor referee thought that the game was on.
I was wondering because I was looking for it on Twitter, and I was kind of going, geez, there must be an evening kick-off or something. So
clocks went back a few weeks ago, Tom.
Yeah, well, it was more than the clocks went back. The poor referee thought that the game, and he was being assessed, the poor referee thought the game was on Sunday. So he had to find
that a few weeks ago.
He actually thought the game was Sunday, and had to go get a babysitter and so on.
Wow.
So, we didn't kick off. We didn't it's very hard then to be standing. I was getting a bit anxious then because it's very hard to stand around for an hour and then go back into the dressing room, bring your team back in, get warmed up again, go back out and try and start from scratch. But we went out and we gave away a very simple try in the first couple of minutes of the game again. We had all the play. Ashbourne just got down into our 22, ended up getting a scrum underneath the post, penalty scrum underneath the post, and the number 8 was broke off. I think we were just asleep. But that was the last time from a ballpoint view that Ashbourne came into the game. All their scores came from our own mistakes or penalties. We got the 4. We got a 4. I'm not going to go massively into this game because I think it wasn't a pretty game. It wasn't pretty rugby. It was a very basic, but we had a lot of errors too. We have a lot to brush up on, but the good thing that was there is the determination in the lads even in their faces coming out of the dressing room. You could see there was a determination there and how important this game was to them. There's some certain things I don't understand because we were dominant in the scrums, but yet we didn't get any scrum penalties. In fact, the first scrum we drove them back and we were penalised. We were penalised for that for a loose head turning inside us, but other than that, we were so dominant, and it was just a bit madness that we didn't get any. We got no scrum penalties. We were almost afraid by the end of it to take them on because we were getting nowhere. In fact,
but just on that, Tom, I don't know what that is, but we've had huge scrum dominance this year, and we have got very few penalties as well. I don't know whether it's a directive from referees, but we're kind of seeing the same thing there, you know.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, because when you're driving back, you can't be the one at fault. And we were getting warned for this and warned for that, and you can't be the one at fault all the time when you're dominant. And normally, the case being is you would often give out that that you don't get the penalty because you're not dominant, and you know, and when you do something right, you're not getting looked at, or you're not getting that edge because you're not the dominant scrum. You know, the referee, and in fairness, they're right. If a scrum is dominant, you know that they're putting the other scrum under pressure, and the chances are that if something goes wrong, that the weaker scrum is going to do something to try and counteract that. So look, I'm happy enough because we, as I said, we have our pack played well. John Nines had a great game as captain. As captain, got them together, and John got two tries out of it. But it was nice to see the backline. Young Alan Owens had a good game. Our full back, Will Casey, the young Australian, he's only 18. As I said, he just came over through context that we had in the club years ago. His father wanted to do a bit of travelling, so his father ranked the club, and he arrived in. And like, Will is only a puppy, and but he had a great game at full back, and you know, it's worth every mention of it because, as I say, he's only a child. in my eyes, he's a child. But look, front row, the starting front row played really well with Larry McGrath, Scott Neal, and Ross Byrne. The whole back row played extremely well. Conor McElligott, Conor Tracy, Johnny Murray probably didn't have his best game, but was just solid there, right across the board, like from one, even the subs that come on. Paddy Rogers come on in the front row, made a difference. Evan Gordon is really good at bringing structure into the pack and getting our set, getting when we come around the corner, getting our setups right. Even Joel Brown, who had a very poor game, and he knows himself, had a poor game against the Thai, came out and redeemed himself. So we'd be very happy to come out of Ashbourne with a win, and to come with a win and bonus point. It was massive for us. And I'd say, not getting into mad details about the game because it wasn't the prettiest, but from 1 to 20, everybody gave their all, and they went out on the Saturday night and deserved every point that they had, because there was a lot of sore bodies. And we really could do with the break that we're getting this week and next week, because there's so many niggly injuries gained over the last 5 games that bodies do need a break. James, you warned us that the physicality that went down the line. You don't realise until you get it in Towns Cup, which you kind of expected, but the speed of the game.
It's unbelievable up there.
I keep saying, if you make a mistake at this level, the problem being is that you're going to get punished. So it's tough. It's a tough league, and we've a long way to go. But hopefully that win now will get us back on track. It's as I said, it's a massive win. And look, we're delighted that we came out of there, try to get everything back on shape, take it easy this week, and then next week start preparing for our next games. So that's the seniors instead. Happy out on the last. It's been a very hard 5 games to be covered, 5 podcasts to be coming here. So it's nice to be able to come with a smile, and we'll continue on then, because the women had played Lansdowne in Lansdowne, and they came away with a 24-12 win, and that means that they're sharing top of the table with Midlands Warriors, who they're playing at home this Sunday at 1:00, and could do with all the support that they can get, because they've actually never played. As I said, it's a beginners league, the League 6, and the whole thing was social, to start me. As I said, the ladies are a fantastic bunch, but you can see the competition is starting to get they're getting a bit of a glint in their eye, and they're really looking forward to Sunday now. But it's going to be their first 15-a-side game. So it'll be interesting to see how they go on. But Louise and Zorka and those and Becky Fahy, the captain, have put so much work into organising it. And I actually went up and gave them a dig out training on Tuesday night, and I was actually really surprised at how they've picked up the game. There's girls there never played in their lives, and their handling skills and they're willing to learn, and the questions that they ask are, I have to say the women are better than lads at asking questions on why you do something. Lads just get into a slot and stand there, and if you ask them actually why you're doing it, they would look at you, look into space, but they know they should be there, but they don't know why they're there. Whereas a woman will ask you, why do I stand here? What's the reason? So they actually get quite a good understanding of what you're doing, and it was a pleasure to coach them and to give them a bit of a dig out on Tuesday night. Moving on now. Sorry, I have to flick through to get me results. We had really, really good youth results this weekend. So come back. What happens on a Friday or Thursday? We had the under 18 girls, our under 14 girls. They beat Athy 45-0. The under 16s girls lost 22-34 to Port Dara. The under 18 girls went up to Naas. They beat Naas, but the game was called off due to a couple of injuries on the Naas side. So even though they were 14-0 up, but the game was conceded due to injuries on the pitch. The under 13s had a good win over Carlingford. The under 14 boys had a 57-12 win over RD. Under 15s lost to Tullow. The under 16s beat Long. They beat Long for 39-19. The under 18 Amber team, which would be the actual 18s, they beat Portage 18-16 in a really, really good game. And the development under 18s, which would be our under 16s, who came up with a couple of other players, they beat Portage as well 27-17. So from a youth point of view, it has have been a really, really great weekend. So right across the board this week, it was probably the best week we've had results-wise in a long time, which is great to see. Especially the youths. It's hugely important, as we always say, for them and in their development and the pathways up to try and get a few of them playing senior when they finish up with 18s. Just seniors have no match this weekend. As I say, the women have Midlands Warriors at 1:00 in Carlow, and we're begging for support for them to come up and give them a cheer on. As I say, it's their first full game of 15s. They've been playing 12-a-side or 10-a-side and have developed really well. Our youth this weekend are the Rhinos. Our under 14s are playing away to Port Dara on Saturday at 12:00. The under 16 girls are playing away to Arklow on Saturday at 12:00. The under 18s game was postponed against Gorey. It's postponed till next weekend. The under 13s are away to Port Arlington on Sunday. The under 14s are home at 12:00 to Port Leash, and the 15s are home to Port Arlington on Saturday at 2:00. The under 16s are away to Wexford on Saturday at 11:30. The under 18 Amber, the stronger team, is away to Enniscorthy on Saturday at 6 p.m. and our under 18 development side are home to Naas on Sunday at 2.
We're learning to understand, Dodgy.
Damn Vodafone.
Did you get me? No.
We did. We got most
Did
of it.
that just go on?
Yeah.
Well, you probably didn't get the most important part of the bars open on Friday night for the Argentinian game. Everyone is welcome from 7:00. They want to make
Lovely.
it a bit of crack. I'd say there'll be a lot more atmosphere in that than there will be in the V. So come along down.
Last week, yeah. That's it.
Lovely.
Now we got that time. Bars open for the Argentina match. Lovely. Tom is struggling there with the old internet. Carlow Rugby with thanks to Vodafone.
Walk away.
All right. We got that most of that, Tom. Anyway, just Tom is saying that the bar in the Oak Park in the rugby club is open for the Argentina match, and of course, nice little connection there. Felipe Contepomi. There's a picture on Carlow's social media accounts of Felipe Contepomi. It was his first club in Ireland he played for when he came to Ireland, as far as I know. And the picture
One
of
game,
him,
wasn't it, Tom? Got a flaking down
one
at
game.
Thomond Park against Shannon. I was at it.
Yeah. But Tom is gone, James. With thanks to Carlow Rugby, with thanks to Vodafone. There you are now. Yeah, James, it was a great old picture hanging up in the clubhouse there as well. If you've never been in Carlow clubhouse and you're listening, go up and have a look. It's a pretty cool piece of history as well, I suppose. Felipe, of course, going on then to represent Leinster, Argentina, and so on and so forth. And now he's back at the coaching staff, of course, and being the Viva on Friday night. James, we're going to talk about you. Kilkenny at the weekend. Happy? Not happy?
Well, do you know what? I'm going to start on a positive, right? Because it was a very successful weekend for women's and girls rugby in Kilkenny, and I think sometimes it might go a little bit overlooked, right? And for the first, it's not the first time it's happened, but it's the first time it happened in a long time, and definitely the first time this season that all four of our women's teams won. You know,
Brilliant.
the women's 15 beat Longford. The under 14 girls had just a Royal Rovers win against Rathdrum. I'll get into all that in a minute. The under 16 girls had a win against Ashbourne Balbriggan, and the under 18 girls beat Portlaoise. So I just think that's something like we hear stories. You must celebrate your small wins, and I think if you celebrate your small wins, you have to celebrate your big wins, and that's look at it's a fantastic achievement just for women's rugby in the club. So starting with our women's 15, they've had a tough season. Look, they've had majority of losses, but they had a good win against Tala and Kilkenny a couple of weeks ago, and travelled up to Longford last weekend. Tough place to go, you know. Can be a heavy pitch up there at times. This time of year, it was a heavy pitch, and Longford teams know how to play on that pitch, and they make it difficult for visiting teams. But in fairness to the girls, they just went up there and they put in an absolute thing, like a really dogged performance, and a dogged performance considering they had 3 yellow cards in the game and 2 of them were at the same time. So they played 10 minutes of the second half with 13 players, right? And they really needed a win because in context of their survival in Division 3, right, Longford would be a team that would be below them. So to get a win against Longford away was massive. And it just gives them a little bit of breathing space in that league now. If they can get another couple of wins and consolidate their position in that league for next season, you know, it's in my opinion and the opinion of many others who I've spoken with, that's success, you know. Considering they weren't meant to be in that division this year, only for a couple of teams dropped out of Division 3, they were promoted up. So but they travelled with just 15 players as well, so another little bit of adversity that had to deal with. But a nearly try from Isla Moss was converted by Emily Kenny, so that put them into kind of a 7-point lead. Then there was a score soon after by wing forward Tina Wright, and that was followed by a third try by Lika Hoban. And Emily Kenny had one of those conversions, but then just before the break, Longford got a try of their own. First half, as I said, was followed up by started after a yellow card in the first half. They were then given 2 yellow cards at the same time, so they reduced to 13 players for 10 minutes of that second half. During that period, Longford scored, so to bring the score 19-10. But then when they were restored back to 15 players, Karen Delaney got a great try from a brilliant offload. That try is on our socials as the moment of the week. we would probably would have a moment of the week every week, but certainly it was one certainly worth picking for last week. But look, at really well done to the whole squad and the coaches and the players. Travelled up there with 15 players, not an easy place to go, but to put in a really gritty performance, to have something to build on now. So I think that's 2 wins on the bounce now. So there could be a bit more positivity, a bit more cause for the girls to be, how do I say, feeling better about things. But they've lost a lot of players through injury and some players travelling away and work commitments and that. So they've lost a few players as well, but they're a tight bunch. So well done to them. As I said, gives them a bit of breathing space in the league now. And if they can consolidate a position in the league, it's success. But they have a very tough game this weekend, which we'll get into later, against Edenderry. The the under 14 girls had just a deadly win against Rathdrum and Kilkenny last minute or two. Grace Manuel, Joe's daughter, got an absolute humdinger of an individual try from about 40 meters out. She just beat about 4 players, handed off one in absolute manual fashion, handed off one of the Rathdrum tacklers and got in the corner to take a 15-12 win over Rathdrum. So, you know, the girls, they're building, and you can just see by them they're having so much fun, you know. But I would put a lot of that down to the people that's coaching them, like Joe Manuel. Everywhere Joe goes, there's fun. Derek Lawler would be the same. Jenny Kerwin would be the same. So, like, we have a policy in the club where fun is first and foremost in youths and minis rugby. If they're not having fun as coaches, we're failing. And I think that's really a group where there is where there's fun just in all angles. Under 16 girls beat Ashbourne Balbriggan on a scoreline of 27 points to 5. They have huge numbers. Declan Keogh, Conor Bass, Max McGuinness, and so many others just keeping that ticking. But the one that's really important, and the one that I think is a massive win, was for our under 18 girls. They had a really, really tough start to the season. Like they were getting well beaten in a number of games, and early in the season, I think 7 or 8 players kind of decided they were packing it in. Not because there was anything wrong, not because they didn't like their coaches, they didn't like the game, but I just think they want to concentrate on their leaving cert or wanted to concentrate on work, or some of them found the step up from under 16 to 18 physically too much. But slowly but surely, there's a number of them coming back. And speaking with one of the coaches there, Mary Louise Briody, on Monday night, she feels the Lucy Bass, who had kind of non-committal at the start of the season, came back, and having Lucy back in that team has kind of brought the team on. Her father was an unbelievable number 8 with Byrne Hall and with Kilkenny for many years, Connor. She's coached the under 16s as well. But just getting her back in, she seems to be a little bit of a leader. And when she came back, some of the girls who dropped out earlier in the year came back. So, you know, as they say, every action has a reaction, and a little bit of a domino effect going on there. So, look at massive win across the board for all girls rugby. Wish I could say the same for the boys, but it was a tough weekend for youth rugby, for boys youth rugby in the club. All of our youth teams were unsuccessful. Under 14 boys had a hard loss, 32-19 against Edenderry. The under 18 boys were massively unlucky, just really, really unlucky away to Mullingar, losing 26-24. Speaking to a few of the lads, I wasn't there obviously, but speaking to a few of the lads, they just said it was a wonderful game of rugby, and it could have gone either way. Mullingar as a club riding the crest of a wave at the moment. If you go up there and you look at the grounds with their AstroTurfs, with their stands, with their new clubhouse, they have a gymnasium that a lot of professional setups would struggle to have. You know, I suppose it helps to have some very strong businessmen, Shane Murta, Michael O'Leary, and others up around Mullingar who are probably helping out the club. And it's a spectacular club now when you go into it. So, but Mullingar probably riding the crest of a wave. But our lads were unfortunate not to come away with a win, but a couple of injuries. Under 15 boys had a heavy loss to a really strong Naas team, but that's a really good coaching group. The guys who were there, they've been through it all. I think there's 6 Towns Cup medals in the coaching group there, right? And 6 Leinster League medals as well, Division 1. And with that team, I watched them on Monday night of training. they had 30 players at training Monday night, so the players are hurting over that loss last week. So they're going to make sure that they're not beaten like that again this year, and their coaches are going to make sure they're not going to be beaten like that again this year. And Johnny Tobin, previous of this parish, used to have a saying that you don't lose, you learn. And in
Absolutely.
fairness, Johnny's a good coach, and that's a fair comment. And you'd hope that the team just learn from that, and the coaches learn from that, and everything. Our under-16 boys had a walkover from Balbriggan, which was disappointing because they wanted to bounce back from the previous week, but they look at what can you do if a team can't travel down to you, how so be it. And our under-13 boys had a bit of a surprising loss in some instances, but it just goes to show how kind of youth rugby is a pendulum. 1 week you're up, 1 week you're down. But they had a loss to Enniscorthy, who they in the Leinster League, who they had beaten the previous week in the Southeast League. So just goes to show at that age, like anything can happen, and it's just look, you just have to stick with it. I suppose moving on to a bit more depressing stuff now. Well, before I get there, our J1s had our J2s had a good win against Dundalk 24-17. But oh my God, our first, wow, I don't know where to start on this, and I'm not going to dwell too much on it. But 24-16 loss after being 16-0 up, like it was a capitulation of the highest order. And I remember my great friend and all of our great friend who's no longer with us, James Cody, often talking about capitulation and what it looked like when he was club captain in Kilkenny. And by God, if there ever was a Kilkenny's capitulation, that was it last Sunday in Dundalk. And look at, as I always say, there's no point in being overcritical or over negative about these things, but we just need to look at the context of it as well. I think we were missing probably 12 players through injury who would have been, not all of them would have been starters, some of them would have been squad members, but there was 12 missing through injury, and 6 or 7 players took to the field with niggles, or with injuries. So I think we need to look at that context as well. Probably ran out of a little bit of juice, and then we're missing Jack
18 players, that's 18 players, James.
Yeah, it is. But we still took to the field with a very strong team, Stephen. And then halfway through that game, suddenly you lose Ben Devlin, you lose Jay Colbeck, and you lose all shape. Like 2 serious players, 2 Leinster juniors. That's hard. That's hard to take as well. But going 16-0 up, you think you're coasting. You think you have 16-0 up at half time. You're probably at that stage targeting a third and a fourth try, and kind of looking at yourselves, right, a win here is going to propel us up the table. Losing shouldn't be in the mindset, but whatever happened in the final 20 minutes, bang, we just took our foot off the gas. And we missed 10 points in place balls, conversions and penalties. We absolutely dominated the first half. We dominated up front? Probably find that hard, but we certainly had the upper hand up front. Then as I said, we lost Jake, we lost Ben to injury, and just seemed to lose all of our shape. And then, just as I said, just came a total capitulation. Don't know what it is, but hey, we need to dust ourselves down. We need to dust ourselves down. We need to knuckle down. We need to get niggly injuries sorted. So that started on Tuesday night. They kind of had a recovery hub out in the club with ice baths and physios and masseuses and all this kind of stuff just to help the lads, because it's the same as 1A. Like, I mean, it is attritional, it's tough, and particularly when you're not winning games and you're close to winning games, the physical and mental fatigue, it's hard,
absolutely.
So we've Kildare coming down 2 weeks, and we need to be ready for that game. We need to go out with our strongest 15. We need to go out and give our best performance of the year. It's the last game of the first round of the Leinster League, first round of fixtures in the Leinster League. The next game after that is Mullingar at home. That's not going to be easy. So we need something. We need something to build upon. Yeah. So there's a lot of positives in there. There's a lot of players come back from injury, but we just need. And I need to say, as I say every week, this is not a coaching issue. Everybody who you speak to is speaking in the highest of esteem to Corey and the coaching team and what they're doing. It is great what's happening. So it just probably, is it player led? I don't know. Is it psychological? I don't know. But something just needs to bounce right for the lads. Seconds, as I said, really good win, 24 points to 10 win. New signing, Yassine Williams. He's a South African guy who's come to work in Kilkenny on the construction of the new CBS and Canis school. South African guy, quantity surveyor at Rattigans, out half, centre, full back, and a goal kicker. So he did well from the boot. Tries came from Caleb Hogan-Eyre, Matty Hogan, and Leo Capasso and Badger Colin Keeley had really, really strong performances there. So that's kind of it on the rugby front. Just moving on to other matters. I need to acknowledge the passing of, I suppose, not a past player, but certainly a past club member, Dick Parr. Dick moved to Kilkenny in the early 90s to work in Irish Permanent, to be manager in Irish Permanent, having played a lot of rugby in Old Wesley before moving to Kilkenny. He just kind of became a member of our club through his friendship with Ray Minion, and was highly respected by many people, and we send our condolences to his family. He had a tough time of it for the last 2 years, and he'll be missed by many people because he was great crack, great fun around the club. And even though many of the newer cohort mightn't have known Dick, he was certainly a very respectful man, and a man who had respect for everyone. So we send our condolences to his family. Rugby for All is starting. So that's rugby for kids and teenagers with additional needs. That is 6:15 to 7 p.m. every Monday night. Contact Philip O'Reilly on that, and all of the details, Philip's mobile number and so forth, are on our socials and up on our website. And it's in its third or fourth year with the club now, and it's fantastic. It's great to see, and just goes to show that kind of rugby is a game for everybody, and inclusivity is so important. With Christmas coming, a lot of people want to buy Christmas gifts and Christmas presents. So if anyone wants to buy any club apparel or kit, call into Gary Brickell in the Hurley Depot on John Street to get your order in fairly soon. A little bit of fundraising going on in the club at the moment with Your Club, Your Country draw. And there are 13 players doing Movember at the moment. I won't name them all, but we have Josh Evans, Eddie Uckerman, Alex Reynolds, Axel Montgomery, Charlie Buckley, Dan Dowell and Dan O'Neill, Fintan Brennan, Gary Dunn, Jack McGrath, and a few others all doing Movember. So keep an eye on the socials there. There's going to be a few photographs and stuff for the lads and their big mows and handlebars and everything else going up. Our prayer profile of the week is Brian Howe, and Brian's just a really good guy. He came through our minis, came through our youths, won a Towns Cup with us. Something that I just want to really stood out for me in Brian's interview, where it was what he said is how the club stood by him when he broke his leg there 2 years ago. And he got a really, really bad leg break. And it would have been, anyone else would have packed it in, but the club stood by him, and I put a lot of that down and supported him very much. And I put a lot of that down to Ray Pembroke, who's our team manager, Ray and club treasurer. Ray just has a really good way of going about things nice and tactfully, and making sure everything goes well. And I wouldn't expect anyone else from a fellow the caliber of Ray, because steeped in club tradition and club history. Looking forward to what's going to happen this weekend. All of our underage boys teams will be hoping to bounce back anyway, with the 15 boys away to at home to Enniscorthy on Saturday at 11. So the Saturday fixtures, under 15 boys at home to Enniscorthy at 11, under 18 boys home to Gorey at noon, under 16 boys away to Wicklow at noon. The under 18 girls are away to the Ravens also at noon. The under 14 girls are home to Sea Point at 1 p.m. The under 16 girls have Navan at home at 2:30, and the under 13 boys have Arklow at home at 3:30. Then on Sunday we have our under 14 boys against Mullingar away. I'm going to Mullingar myself on Sunday to support Thomastown, so best of luck to all the lads in the Leinster Championship. And our women's team, as I mentioned earlier, have a very, very tough home match against Edenderry at 1 p.m. in the club. So look at Edenderry are top of the table. They're unbeaten. We really need everyone to be on point. Like the girls now, they've won 2 wins on the bounce. This is a big test for them. And if they can get parity in the game, just get, perhaps get an early score or 2, perhaps win a couple of early penalties, start getting the bounce of ball, anything can happen.
Absolutely.
Best of luck to them. They need to be firing on all cylinders. And finally, our minis have a full schedule. So our under 7s and 8s are home to Carlow. Unfortunately, Carlow's under 9s are tied up elsewhere, so there's no games for under 9s this Sunday. And our 10s, 11s, and 12s are away to Carlow on Sunday. Our under 10 and 12 girls have Dungarvan at home also. And just to finish up, I just want to thank 3 of our adult players, Axel Montgomery, Eddie Uckerman, and club captain Gary Dunn, who have all offered to come on board with coaching youth teams at underage levels. So Gary is
That's
going
pretty
in with
cool.
her under 13s. It's brilliant, Stephen. And
Yeah.
it's kind of I'm coaching coordinator in the club, and it's an objective of mine is to get more players involved in coaching, because it might seem, we have a great cohort of coaches down through the ages, but the players are the ones that are getting the coaching from the top coaches, and they're the ones that are up to speed with current trends and current methods. That look at Corey's one of the Leinster development coaches, and he understands the game, and he's getting access to the top coaches in Leinster, where he's bringing those methods back down to us and
Absolutely.
to our team. And it's great that the lads are now putting their hands up to say, well, we want to bring what we're seeing at adult level coming from Corey down
All
to
the way
our
back.
youth level. And this is it. That's an objective of mine, and mine as coaching coordinator, Dave O'Connor as director of rugby, is to make sure that we're giving our underage teams the best potential for success, and I always say success isn't winning a cup today. Success is in 10 years' time when you're seeing 5 or 6 or 8 of your ex-youth players on your first and seconds team. That's success. But the only way that they're going to get to the level to get through to those groups is if we're giving them the best training possible and the best opportunity to do that at youth rugby. So, it's great to see the likes of Lee Selman, Simon Manuel, Pat Holden, Jared Costello, and so many others down for Vinny O'Shea, Mick Hannigan, Barry Daly, and these guys who are real stalwarts for the club over the year are down there coaching youth rugby. But if we can just supplement that with a few players, I think it's going to be a success for us all. So look at
That's right.
fingers crossed that plan works, But
Absolutely, James. Good to hear.
So that's it from Kilkenny Rugby
That's
Club
a
for
good
this
tennis.
week.
Yeah, busy week. Thanks to James, of course, to Tom and Paddy as well on the knock-on. We'll be back next week. No games this weekend for the J1s and J2s, but plenty besides, as you heard from the lads with youths, ladies and everything else. We'll catch up with you next week. Have a good weekend and enjoy the early
Signing
match.
off. Good luck.
Take care.